What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and I just read this super interesting article here on Wall Street Bets. So I didn't actually even know this existed. So I've been trading for a little bit, and I've never even heard of this rule. So this is actually a rule that is a impact of a short sell restriction. So this is basically you cannot short a stock. In this particular case, we're talking about Tesla, and this is actually a fact. This article, again, I'll be link it down below. It's basically when a security, let's say it trades at $100, and then the next day, the following day, it drops by greater than 10%. It literally triggers this rule that they implemented after the 1929 crash, but then later changed in 2010 to kind of help the longer-term investor or maintain the confidence to not have intraday crashes. So this guy who kind of reads the rule out here. So if security drops more than 10% in a day, the short sale circuit breaker is triggered. So if you go down here, the Tesla is traded on the Nasdaq, and you can see here on the May 1st, which was the previous Friday. Again, we know that Elon Musk tweeted at 11:11 a.m. and literally about 30 minutes later, it dropped so much that it was short triggered. The overall stock still traded on the open market, but you could not actively short sell it or buy. You could still buy puts in it, but you couldn't short sell the overall stock. The breaker lasts for 2 days. Current trading days to the next following trading day, so it would be basically from 24 hours of what this trading is. So it basically 1 day counted as 11:39 today. So potentially, if I understand the rules right, and I'm not a SEC lawyer here, but it sounds like on Tuesday at 11:39 Tesla's the breaker is lifted. The rule gives priority to long-term sellers, imposing an uptick rule for additional short sales. So this is the part where I didn't quite understand. So I actually pulled up another place, Zach's research. Basically, this is what they talked about, why the uptick rule. So the uptick rule in 2007, the SEC issued declared an uptick rule. This is the relaxing of the name of what happened in 2008, 2009. So within months, the legislature has approved this rule restricting a short sale using the circuit breaker we just talked was triggered while a stock lost 10% of its value in 1 day compared to the previous day close. The restriction helps keeps short sellers from driving down the price of the stock and stays in place for the remainder of the day and the following day. So this helps promote, again, the long-term rule. So it puts some provisions in place so the whole market doesn't come down and collapses, because a lot of the times it's very emotional driven, and if everyone just rushes to the bank, like in 1929, you get a huge crash, and that just makes could have just been a 1 standard deviation move. It just literally moves it to 3 or 4 deviations from where it could have been, and just blows a bigger hole in the wall than it really should have. So the uptick rules attempts to decrease the amount of stocks lost its value throughout those 2 days, thinking of after 2 or 3 days, the human mind will get their reasoning back besides that. It doesn't quite understand on the sense of is it saying that short selling is completely banned? I don't quite understand that, to be quite honest with you. And I'm sure there's going to be people out there who are just going to diss me for this. And this guy does a great job on posting this. This is DC 1993X. So give this guy kudos for sure. Wonderful job doing this little research and putting it all together. Because the price didn't drive down further for the last 2 days, it usually leads to a rebound, aka the rally that we've had. We'll look at this. So let's take a look on what happened to Tesla triggered on Friday. We'll look in the more in-depth chart on once we get into the Thinkorswim. Now let's take a look at what happened for the rest of the day. Bada boom, bada boom. Tesla moved a 10% gain just in the last days. it says, before you criticize me, I'm fully aware that all the other rules and regulations also play in a role. I just wanted to point this one out for reasons why Tesla moved today. And that's actually a great understanding of like, wow, did Tesla move because Elon Musk's baby was born and now there's 6 spawns from him that are going to take over the world after him? No, this is more likely the reason why Tesla was literally just able to fly off. And this is super interesting. I've never even heard of a rule like this. So this is a really new learning experience for me. So let's go ahead and pop up Tesla here, TSLA. And we're going to break this down to a super small time frame of basically 15-minute chart. And what we're going to do as well, we're going to get rid of the extended hours, because it's only active hours. So let's go look through. So Friday's here. So basically Tesla on Thursday was at 869, call it 870, and then the previous day we had a low of 683. So that's a heck of a move right there. So we're looking at this basically a move down of I have to zoom out here. So the previous day it was closed right here, so Friday. So if the price closed here and then it dropped nearly should be 10%, so it dropped 13%, but again that alert was triggered at around 11:45. So actually I need to break this time frame just a little bit more. We'll do a 5-minute chart to give a better analysis. So the close of Friday is right, let me zoom in a little bit more, right here. We'll call it right here, and then goes all the way down to 11:40. Let's call it 11:40. That is the decline of 10% exactly, as you can see here, right below the 29 bars and above this negative 77.89%, exactly 10% drop from here, the previous close to here, being exactly 10%. The breaker going on, initially allowing Tesla not to be short-selled or to continue having the price being pushed down, and then you kind of get a little flurry of just a little bump up higher into the close, and then a little bump up into Monday. Sorry, let me put the candles all back on. So here we go. So Friday triggered, boom, we had the lovely weekend, nice weather here, and then now today, basically Monday super strong, and then Tuesday kind of blah, whatever, kind of trading sideways for a potential what happened on previously on Tuesday. So at 11:45 was right about here, and basically that's when initially the breaker should have gone off. So short selling could have resumed and continued to push lower potentially. So now we can kind of see that it's just trying to trade it sideways and kind of sold off into the close, kind of hanging around its 200 if you're trading on that marker there. So that's super interesting to see that in real time and kind of get a better understanding on how that system works. I've never heard of this rule before, and especially just with a super highly priced stock like Tesla, it's quite astonishing. So another thing I wanted to look at was actually the site that individual pulled from. There's this, so Nasdaq has the circuit breaker dash as well. So I didn't even know this existed as well. So this is the short sale circuit breaker. So we can download that, and it literally gives you. So American Airlines was on that, and that triggered on the 4th. Again, the 4th was just a couple days ago. JetBlue was on there. United Airlines is on there. A couple other companies that I saw. A lot of airlines. Groupon was on there. It's kind of popped out. So this is. I'm gonna ping this list in the thing below here in the description. A couple other ones that I was looking at. Michael's companies. I don't know if that's the one I'm thinking about. A lot of these don't really pop out at me. Again, this was super interesting to find out that this was even a thing, to have something being triggered like that. I learned quite a bit, and I want to thank this guy again for putting this out. That's DC 1993X for doing this. Super interesting, really great due diligence. Actually, should have been DD for him there. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you learned something today. We're going to actually look at Tesla as a whole on where to trade it now. Looking at for potential bounce. The bounce that we had, again, it held the 21 very strong. Let me get rid of this line here. It'll throw me off. I held the line on the daily chart very strong. The 5 hasn't crossed into the 8, and the 8 hasn't crossed through the 21. So this bounce is still intact, depending on how the rest of the stock trades. Again, looking for, this thing has been on very high momentum here. Looking for the Chaikin money flow to go higher. The momentum kind of dipped off due to the fact of the really steep decline, and the momentum needs to start printing, excuse me, the lighter teal for continue to ride higher. Potentially, depending on how the overall market goes, and once states are opening up, we could see this trading sideways for some time in between the range of like 830 and like 720, depending on the on what happens. So that being said, again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below if you like the content. Again, Ken from the Dyslexic Investor. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.